You have people around you right now who have been there for years. People who know your history, who showed up during your hard seasons, who you trust by default because of how long you have been in each other's lives. You would never tell them that they are a problem to you. But here's what you know. Even if you have not said it out loud, when you bring your most important decisions to them, you walk away with more noise than clarity. You walk away managing their reactions and reassuring them and explaining yourself or second guessing the direction you actually want to go in. And you are more confused right now than you were before you picked up the phone. Your inner circle may not be failing you dramatically. It might just be built for where you were, but not where you're going. And at the level that you're leading, that distinction matters more than loyalty. Welcome back, Sophisticates. I'm Davina Dandridge. I'm an emotional empowerment strategist, author of Brains and Baubles Do What Works for You, and the creator of the Self Gut Check Method. I teach women how to recognize their emotions, think strategically, and make decisions they'll be proud of 5 years from now. Today, we're talking about something that most women at the senior level avoid because it feels like disloyalty to even think about it. The people you go to when the real decisions need to be made, and whether those people are actually equipped to help you make these decisions. It's not about cutting people off. This is about being honest about what your executive council is built for and whether it's built for the version of you that's leading right now. This is for directors, VPs, founders, and senior leaders who are making decisions that carry real consequence. At this level, who you strategize with is a leadership variable, and it's not just about a personal preference. Let me describe something that you may have felt but not named. You're facing a decision, and it's a real decision, a direction that you need to take at work. Maybe it's a boundary that you're considering, or a move that could change the shape of your career or change your life altogether. You think about who to call. You go through the list and it's in your head and you quickly make a decision. But then you realize that for most of the names on that list, calling them will require you to manage the conversation as much as think through this decision. This one will panic. This one will project her own fears into your situation. And this one will tell you what you want to hear because she can't handle seeing you struggle. Then there's one over here who will be honest, but she'll be honest from a vantage point that has nothing to do with the level where you're operating. By the time you hang up, you're not any clearer. You are more emotionally exhausted. That moment of running through the names on that list and finding it insufficient is information. That's your intelligence telling you that the counsel around you was built for a different season of your life or career. And then you feel the guilt because none of these people have done anything wrong. They love you, they have been there for you. You have a history with them. The thought of needing something different from your circle feels like a betrayal of everything they've invested in you. You would never say that out loud, of course. So instead, you stop bringing the real things to them. You manage your big decisions all by yourself. You keep quiet about what's actually happening in your leadership, in your decisions, and in your internal world. And you know what? That isolation builds up, it compounds. Here's the other pattern: you have someone you call specifically because she agrees with you. And you tell yourself, you know what? She gets me. She gets it. She knows where I am. But what she actually does is confirm what you already knew, which is that this counsel feels like support, but it produces no information that you could use. She's not a sounding board. She just repeats your thoughts. And decisions made in an echo chamber carry the risk of whatever you bring into them being unchallenged. And at the senior level, the cost of bad or no advice is huge. Your decisions carry organizational weight. The quality of your input you are working with shapes the quality of your output. If your counsel can't speak to your level, into your specific context, with the kind of objectivity that only comes from someone who does not need anything from your success, then you are making high stakes decisions with low quality information. The emotional sophistication map helps you identify what is actually driving your decision making before you can fix the environment around it. For some women, the counsel problem is external. The wrong people are in the room, but for others, the problem is internal. You already know what the right people would say. You're going to the wrong ones because the right ones would challenge you. And right now, you need permission to find the right answers, not just a perspective. That's a different issue, and it requires a different kind of honesty. The map gives you that diagnostic picture. It shows you whether you're operating from clarity or from noise, whether the voices around you are sharpening your thinking or softening it in ways that don't serve you. The link is in the description. I want to tell you something that happened to me because I think you'll recognize this. There was a season when I was navigating a significant professional decision, a decision I needed to take in my work, something that carried real emotional weight and required real clarity. My true confidant, the person I would call first, didn't answer my call. So I called somebody else, someone I had known for years, someone who, by the measure of history, I trusted. I felt that we were alike, right? I knew almost immediately that that was the wrong call. The moment that I started talking, I could feel the conversation pulling me in a direction that I didn't want to go. She started comparing my situation to something she had heard someone else go through, first of all. She told me what she would do, which had nothing to do with my context, my level, or what I actually had at stake. She added anxiety where I needed precision. By the time I hung up, I was not clearer about my decision. I was managing a new level of doubt that was not even mine to begin with. I let her thoughts and her fears impede in my emotions at that time. What I had to accept in that season is what you already know, but you haven't said. And that's caring about someone is not the same as being qualified to counsel them. A person can be loyal, they can be loving, and completely unable to meet you where you are in your leadership. These two things can both be true at the same time. Proverbs 13:20 says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." Not weakened, not delayed in the progress, destroyed. That's not a soft word. It's a word about consequence, about the real cost of who you talk with, not just who you like. What I started to understand is that women I need around me were not necessarily the women that I had history with. They were women who were building something, moving forward in their own lives, operating at a level where they could speak to what I was going through. Women who could be honest with me because they didn't need me to stay the same. Counsel has to be designed, not developed by time. I have an accountability partner now. We became friends over time and we have never even met face to face. What that relationship gives me is a space to share what's happening in my work, my thinking, my decisions with someone who actually can respond to it. Someone with no stake in my social circle, no history that needs protecting, no need to manage my emotions on their behalf. That kind of friendship is rare and it's worth building intentionally. Here's the reframe I want to offer you, and I want you to just really sit with this. Your inner circle is not about loyalty. It's about creating a leadership environment. Every person who has consistent access to your thinking, your decisions, your doubts, your direction, they are part of the environment in which your leadership develops. You would never accept a random, unvetted environment for any other resource that matters. You don't let just anyone into your physical workspace. You don't just take any meetings. You don't just accept any input on a major organizational decision without considering the source. But when it comes to the people who have the most intimate access to how you think, the ones you call when you are uncertain, the person who you call when you're shaken up, the available ear when you need to think something out loud, the entry criteria for your counsel has been history and affection, not qualification and alignment. They don't have the capacity to meet you where you actually are. The reframe is this: loyalty to your future requires a different kind of discernment than loyalty to your past. Proverbs 13:20 does not say walk with people who have been there the longest, it says walk with wise men. The criteria is wisdom, not tenure. This is not about removing people from your life. It's about being honest with what different relationships are designed for. Some people in your life are for joy, some people make your life easier, others are for history that you share. They are not designed to be your strategic counsel. You're not removing them out of your life, you're placing them in a different category. The problem comes when you ask a person from the wrong category to do a job that was never meant for them to do. The woman who is building something real at the level you are operating has to be loyal to herself, her future self, first. Her future self is the one who will live with the decisions she's making right now. And her future self deserves a counsel that can actually see where she's going. I want to give you something concrete to work with, just three questions. This is what I call the counsel standard. This is the criteria you use to determine whether someone belongs in your decision making circle. You must answer these questions honestly. Here's the first one: when you bring a real decision to this person, do you walk away with more clarity or more distraction? This is what clarity looks like: a new perspective you hadn't considered up until this point. They asked an honest question that sharpened your thinking or presented a reflection of your own reasoning that helped you see it more objectively. Noise looks like this: they project their fear, projected into your situation. They integrated their needs into your decision. They gave you reassurance that confirms what you already thought about it and added nothing else to it. Or they held a conversation you had to manage as much as you had to participate in it. Go through your list. Not the full list of everyone you know, but the short list with the people you actually call when something real is happening to you. For each one, ask the question honestly. The answer is information that you can use. Question two: does this person have the context to speak to what you are managing? Context is not caring about you. Context is understanding the environment you're operating in, the weight of a decision that affects your team, a budget, a career trajectory, or even an organizational relationship. Does this person understand the specific pressure that comes with being the one who has to hold her position in a room of people who are watching how she responds? Someone who hasn't operated inside of that kind of environment can't offer you empathy. They can't offer you a real useful direction. It's a context gap. When the decision you're making carries real consequence, the relevant question isn't whether someone cares about you, it's whether they have the experience to actually see what you're dealing with. Question three: does this person need you to stay the same? This one is the most important and the hardest question to look at directly because you don't want to admit some things about your relationship. Some people in your life, consciously or not, are more comfortable with you at a certain level. Your growth changes the relationship dynamic. Your clarity disrupts the familiar version of you that they have. So when you bring your real thoughts to them, what they give you back is subtly designed to keep you where they can recognize you. Their need for you to stay the same doesn't look like sabotage. Sometimes it looks like excessive caution. Sometimes it looks like reminding you of your risks more than your capacity to do what it is that you're trying to do. The person who is in your counsel needs to be able to want for you what you want for yourself. And even if it changes things between you, it's okay. If they can't embrace the possibility of change, then they don't belong in that category. You'll have to move them in a different category in your life. For leaders who are responsible for developing other women in their organization, pay close attention to the isolation patterns on your teams. High performing women who stop bringing her real questions anywhere is not fine. She's managing things alone. A leader managing alone is a retention risk, a decision quality risk, a succession problem you might not see coming until it's already too late. Picture the version of you who has already done the work. She still has her long friendships. She still values their history. She's not cleared people out of her life, but she has gotten honest about what each relationship is designed for. She's intentionally built a small, vetted council of people who can actually meet her at the level she's operating. When she faces a real decision, she knows where to go. She's not running through a list in her head and eliminating names. She's not managing the emotional weight of the conversation before she even picks up the phone. She's not walking away from conversations more confused than she was before she reached out to them. She thinks out loud with people who think clearly. She receives honesty from people who are not afraid of her growth. And she brings real questions to people who have the framework to engage with them. Her decisions are sharper. Her clarity comes faster. The static that used to slow her down, the second guessing that came from absorbing other people's fears, the hesitation that came from getting the wrong input at the wrong moment, that's all gone. She's intentionally surrounded herself with the right people. Before the end of this week, I want you to do something. Take your short list, the people you actually go to when something real is happening to you, and run each name through the council standard. Not make a decision about anyone right now, just see clearly what you're working with. And when the audit surfaces what it surfaces, because it will, pay attention to what comes up emotionally: the guilt, the grief of recognizing that a relationship has quietly outgrown its original definition, the discomfort of knowing a change needs to happen and not being sure you're ready to make it. The emotions are real. They deserve real attention, not just a quick decision. That emotional work, sorting through what you're feeling about your circle, what the isolation has been costing you, what it means to finally give yourself permission to need more. That is exactly what Sophie was designed to help you with. Sophie is my proprietary emotional strategy AI built specifically for women leaders. It's not a business tool. It's the space where you process what's happening internally so that what you decide externally really comes from clarity. The link is in the description. And if you want to start by understanding your emotional patterns first, what's been driving how you choose who gets access to you, the emotional sophistication map is where that begins. That's also in the description. You don't owe anyone access to your leadership because of how long you've known them. The people around you are either sharpening your thinking or clouding it. At your level, you get to decide which. If this conversation is the kind you want more of, subscribe. There's a new conversation every week. See you on the next one.